What's going on, guys? It's yards after the catch. You've been waiting for it all year, and here it is. We are back. We're talking about red hot players. We're talking about the deepest sleepers, and we're answering your questions. And we do it all live right here on Yards After the Catch. Let's get after it. What is going on, everyone? You've been waiting all year, and here it is. Oh, you can see, got a little quick stop at the end there. Didn't let it play out. That's how excited we are to be back. It's Yards After the Catch. We are back. Football season is here, and you know it's not football or Yards After the Catch without Mr. Football. Mr. Roop, there it is, the best co-host in all the land. How you doing, brother?
Football is back, baby. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. It's only preseason, so you can only take so much from it, but I'm just a couple weeks away from all the excitement, and I don't know. I mean, are you ready? Are you ready to go? You ready to draft?
Man, I'm so ready to draft. I've already drafted twice. That's how ready I am to draft. Look, I don't like drafting early, but that's when the league's drafted. I don't recommend drafting early, but hey, when the commission says you got to go, you got to go. So here we go. Man, it has been, I think, one of the craziest off seasons, free agency and whatnot, that I can really remember. I mean, and maybe it's just because of the way media and social media and everything else is now. I don't know, but holy cow.
There's been talk about big names. If you watched anything from the playoffs to after the season's over, I mean, so many players were moved around. All these big names. I knew what I was doing this year's draft at the end of the season. But then all these trades started happening, and now I just completely lost on how to draft, who to pick up, who's really going to be the same value. It's getting confusing now.
It's getting a little out of control. I mean, we've got Devontae Adams playing for the Raiders. We got Baker playing for the Panthers. I mean, there's been so many moves. I literally check every day just to see who's moved now, who's hurt, who's not playing, who's dropping off my draft boards. Man, it's just nuts. Before we get too far into it, we got to talk about a couple things. First thing we got to talk about is you guys. Look, if you guys have questions, comments, anything you want to say, type them in. There's Aurora, just like last year. It's so good to see you guys again. It's good to see you again, Aurora. Welcome back. We're glad to have you. If you guys are out there, type in the comments, and we will definitely get to them and get to all your questions. And we just like to hear from you guys. Second thing, boom, right there. Draft day dice. Oh my gosh. If you have not used these things, this is a package. Why is this a package? Because if you go subscribe to the channel, you're entered into giveaways, and these come along with them sometimes. This exact package could be yours. Go subscribe to the channel, and you just might win it. If you have not played with these things, let me tell you something. You have not drafted until you've drafted with these monsters right here. And I'm not saying you want to do every league with these things, but you're probably going to want to do most of your leagues with these things, because these things, man, you could be in the first round, roll a tight end and a kicker, and now you're stuck taking a tight end or a kicker in the first round. I mean, you can come up with defense and kicker. I mean, and you're stuck taking a defense or a kicker in the first round. And then later on, if you roll all three just like that, boom, you can steal somebody's pick. So if I rolled all three running backs right there, I'd go steal JT in the 12th round from somebody, really tick somebody off. And that's how they work. Draft Day Dice, go check them out, draftdaydice.com, or just go subscribe and you can get a free pair. What do we got? We got, man, comments flying in. David S. Hey, what's up, David? How do you guys feel about Michael Thomas coming back week 1? Do you think he has worth after a 2-year break and QB change? Great question, David. You know what? It's the first question of the year. I'm going to let you take it. There we go. just so everyone else can see it. I'm gonna let you take it, Roop. There it is, and then I'm gonna add just tack on to your perfect answer at the end.
Yeah, Michael Thomas. Never heard of her. It's going to be trouble for me. Here, listen. I want so badly to take this guy, but here's the thing. I took him last year in later rounds. I knew he was going to be out for a bit. Someone wanted to trade me for him. I said, no, he's coming back soon. Dude was out all year. It hurt. I personally am going to stay away. I just heard the news. He's going to be ready week 1. New quarterback, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, he's still going to be the guy. There's a lot of mouths to feed over there. Alvin Kamara is going to be out for a bit. So you temper the expectations later in the year. His ADP is better because before he was going in the first early rounds. But if he falls to at a good spot, go ahead and take him. And I mean, you get a wide receiver 1 in round 7 or wherever he's going these days. Depending on the size of your league. But I'm just he burned me last year. So me personally, I'm gonna take offense to that, and I'm probably gonna stay away. Just how I am. But what do you think?
Well, you got 2 Buckeyes right there with Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. That can spell nothing but success as far as I'm concerned. No, I like Michael Thomas. I don't think he's gonna. I agree. It's not going to be the same Michael Thomas. I don't think he's going to be the fantasy monster. You do have some mouths to feed down there. Winston, I know a guy who's already kind of predicted Winston to be the MVP of the year, comeback player of the year, whatnot. Look, I mean, the guy can ball. The guy can put the touchdowns up. He's going to need receivers to catch those touchdowns. Why not Michael Thomas? Just, you don't need to take him like in the first 3 rounds or anything like that. I think you can get some value out of him, but I do think he'll be worth a play. I've already picked him up in one of my drafts, and we'll see how it pays off. Good question. Thank you, David S. If you guys got questions, send them in and we'll address them. But it was actually kind of a good segue because you already brought up the ADP. And I want to kind of talk about that tonight because we talked about, said we're going to talk about like the hottest players. And we always do like to do that. So let's talk about some of these ADPs. You guys know that we like to use fantasypros.com, especially when we're talking ADPs, because Fantasy Pros likes to give you the average of all the major sites. So when you look at the ADP on Fantasy Pros, you're going to see where they're going on Sleeper, on RT Sports, on Fantrax, on Yahoo, on all the different sites. So that's kind of where we like to base our information, ADP talk wise, over at fantasypros.com. Check them out. The usual suspects at the top, and you guys know who's going. You guys have mock drafted. You guys have looked at these ADP charts and stuff. So there's really no surprise. Even top 10, we'll break it down a little bit easier for you. We've got Jonathan Taylor going first, CMC, Austin Eckler, Kupp, and Henry. These are people that should be, I think, in the top 5. You got 4 running backs, 1 receiver, and I think that's pretty typical of every year. But you also have a lot of injuries in this top 5. Like, who's kind of scaring you out of that, just that quick snapshot right there?
Jonathan Taylor, obviously. You've talked about it before that, wide receiver 1 just doesn't repeat, and it's kind of the thing. So, with some of my leagues, I'm picking first. Am I going to go with the hype and take the one that deserves to be picked first or not? I'm just worried that with Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor going to have that chemistry, and is he going to get the same volume he had before? I'm a little worried about it, and I believe Christian McCaffrey is going to be healthy, and I'm going to say that right now. He's not doing 3 years in a row.
And you said that before. You said Christian McCaffrey, kind of your comeback player of the year. You are not afraid to take Christian McCaffrey at all. And look, I did say that Jonathan Taylor isn't going to finish top 3. I stand by that. The top ADP guy, like you said, for the past 10 years, never once has the top ADP guy finished in the first spot. You could say Gurley did in a standard league, but most of us play PPR, so But that doesn't mean that Jonathan Taylor's not going to finish in the top 10. I think he's definitely a top 10 back. I think he definitely could finish in the top 5. I like that Matt Ryan is there because it spreads the ball around. It means that Taylor doesn't have to do everything. But obviously, that means the volume's going to go down, which means the numbers should go down a little bit. I'm not afraid of Jonathan Taylor. I'm more than supportive if you have the first pick to take Jonathan Taylor because he's going to finish well for you at the end of the season. All I'm getting at is don't expect him to be the top back again. A lot of people worried about Henry. I'm trying not to be worried about Henry. I mean, he had an injury. He is a workhorse, so you do have to worry about it. But I am one of the people, just like you are, OCMC. I think Henry's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be a monster again, and I really like Henry. Which takes us into the second, 6 through 10. Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, Delvin Cook, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. The fun part about these top backs, with the exception of Taylor and Najee, who are pretty new, you got McCaffrey, Eckler, Henry, Cook, and Mixon. None of these guys have actually finished an entire season without an injury, and yet they're still all in the top 10. Are you good with that second tier, Jefferson, Harris, Cook, Chase, and Mixon?
I do like them. They're starting to kind of fade. Some of the newer guys are getting the fresher names out there. I'm not afraid to take them. In the first round, I tend to go running back heavy a lot. I did do a mock draft a couple weeks ago, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to stay away from running backs. I'm just going to go wide receiver heavy. And I didn't hate my team. So I didn't like that because now I don't know what to do in a couple weeks when it's draft time and I'm on the clock. So I got to do a lot more work, a lot more prep, watch a lot more news, and see what they're actually doing. I mean, I don't mind taking Mixon, in the 10 spot. So they're not stacking the box there. They're just not. Okay, Burrow got sacked a lot, so they're getting in the back area. But no, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I feel pretty good with these guys. You can adjust the order however you want with people in the first round, and people will say something, but I mean, honestly, with the exception of maybe Mixon, but if you took Chase in the top 5, if you took Harris in the top 5, even Cook in the top 5, I actually kind of expect Cook to go in the top 5. There's no problem there. If Mixon went 6, because the other backs were gone, these top 10 guys, I'm good with all of them being there. I think they all deserve to be there. We'll see how many of them actually finish there by the end of the season. 11 through 15, we've got Devontae Adams. That we're going to talk about that one. Devontae Adams, Stefon Diggs, Travis Kelce, Swift, and Deebo Samuel. And remember, these are average ADPs right now. Deebo Samuel's average goes anywhere from 11 to 22. Travis Kelce's going anywhere from 12 to 18, so that averages out to 13. But that's why we're kind of taking them 5 at a time. So we got Adams, Diggs, Kelce, Swift, and Samuel. How you feeling about that?
I'm going to let you go first on this one.
I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Look, Devontae Adams. So, what I don't like is he doesn't have Favre anymore. What I do like is that he got his old quarterback back. So I think Las Vegas is going to do well. The thing that I kind of caution against with the Raiders is the Raiders have numbers, especially Carr has numbers, but you have to remember they played an extra game and a half last year thanks to the overtimes. So, especially when you're talking about the offensive, the quarterbacks and the running backs, those numbers are going to be a little bit inflated because they had a whole extra game plus to pad on those numbers. Is Adams a fantastic player? Yes. Do I think his production goes down not having Favre? Absolutely. I'm not saying, personally, I think I might put Lamb ahead of Adams. And it's the same thing with Diggs. Diggs is very popular because he plays with Buffalo, because he plays with Josh Allen. But the thing with Diggs is his numbers were not that fantastic compared to some of the other guys. Again, it kind of comes down to that question, who do you put in front of them? But again, I think I might put Lamb in front of Diggs just because, Diggs did have 103 receptions, but he only had 10 touchdowns. Now, 10 touchdowns is nothing to shake a stick at. He still finished wide receiver 7. And again, you're not going to be mad for taking that. I'm just saying, put it into perspective when you're looking at this stuff. Kelsey also had 10 touchdowns, but he finished tight end number 2. I don't know. Swift, I'm kind of afraid of. I don't really like Swift. I don't like, not personally. I love Swift personally. I think if he was on a different team, I would hop all over him, but he plays for the Lions. And Deebo Samuel, again, they've got him, in the top 15. Man, I don't know, with Ayuk there, with Mitchell there, with Lance kind of being a pull and run guy. I don't know if, I see regression with Deebo as well.
Yeah, I'm okay with Debo regression a little bit with newer, younger QB coming in. But when you talk about Devontae Adams, he is going to his old, college QB, and there's mouths to feed there. But I hated on the Raiders last year, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But I think Devontae Adams is not really going to miss too much. Just me personally, I think they're going to have the chemistry, and they're excited to play. I mean, Devontae Adams thought, Aaron Rodgers is going to kind of hang it up soon. He's got to go somewhere where he knows he's going to have a team behind him, and he chose there. So I think Devontae Adams and Carr are going to have that chemistry right away, if not already in camp. So I think Devontae Adams is easily inside top 10.
And there you go. I mean, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. I just don't know. He's going at 11th overall, wide receiver 4 overall. I think that's probably pretty good. I think that's like right exactly where he's going to end up. Whereas, I don't know. It's a lot harder. If I'm being honest, I really think the wide receivers are kind of lined up pretty well. You've got Kupp as wide receiver 1, Jefferson 2, Chase 3, Adams 4, and Diggs 5. I mean, honestly, I think that's probably exactly how it's going to finish. But if I was going to tell you that Deebo Samuel is going to finish as the 6th best wide receiver in the NFL, I think when you say it that way, I don't know if it makes as much sense.
Yeah.
David S. Wants to know, how do we feel about going running back versus wide receiver heavy in the first few rounds of a full PPR to throw off the draft? So you kind of brought that up. That is kind of a big strategy that you're seeing a lot more this year, going wide receiver heavy first and then picking up some good running backs later on, which, in previous years definitely works out because of injuries and stuff like that. If you can find that guy, I mean, you think about from New England. I love it when this is why we go live, folks, because things like this can happen. But the running back out of New England had 15 touchdowns last year, but he's not anywhere near at the top of this list. So Harris.
And they're shopping him, I think. So
yeah, and they're shopping him. He's nowhere, to be seen in the first part of the ADP list. And you would think a guy with 15 touchdowns would be there, but he's not. Okay. So the point is there is value to be found. If you picked up Harris and you got yourself 15 touchdowns out of it, you wouldn't feel too bad about it. So how do I feel about the strategy going, like, if you're going to go wide receiver heavy or running back heavy? And I think what David's kind of getting at is when you see somebody taking all the good running backs, then you're like, oh crap, I got to go get a running back, and it throws off the draft. I think it is affected more with the running back position than the wide receiver position. But I think whatever strategy works for you in your favor is the one you want to go with.
Yeah. See, David, like, here's the thing. You could try to throw off a draft and, make people like, oh, we got to go this way or that way. The draft is going to turn into chaos anyway after the first round, I'm sure. And you need to get the players that you like, that you've done your research on. You could go running back, wide receiver, whatever. You want to go with the next best player on the highest powered offense with the worst defense. I got to make a video about that, just how to pick these players and then kind of average that out with, who's going to get the most volume. Are they, wide receiver one? Is it a crowded backfield? You got to kind of play those things out. And you can get value at later rounds in all the positions. But if you go to the size of your league, figure out where people are landing, don't believe everything the computers tell you when you're auto drafting. But just it gives you an idea where you may have to, like, they're within a round or two of that spot, unless somebody is a diehard, Cowboys fan and takes Zeke, round one, something like that. You have to know who you're playing with. So just take everything with a grain of salt and don't try to throw the draft off too much, because you'll get on one path and the draft's going to go this way and you just got to change everything completely. So just take the next best player that you can. You don't have to go 3 pages away to find them. Just search for them, know when they're going to come up, and then work your way towards the front. Just play around there. You don't have to work too hard at it.
Yeah. So that brings us into the next 5. We've got Chubb going RB9, Kamara going 10, CeeDee Lamb going wide receiver 7, Aaron Jones at running back 11, and Tyreek Hill at wide receiver 8. So within the first 20, we're going 11 running backs and 8 wide receivers, and you kind of see that playing out as usual, to where most people do draft running back heavy, because you feel like it is such an elite and limited position for skill, whereas wide receivers, obviously there's a lot more of them, and you got a better chance of catching something good. Chubb and Kamara going ahead of Jones. Okay. I'm all right with it. I think there's a couple of people that we're going to talk about later on that I might take before them, but I mean, based on last year's performance, I get it. And then you got CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill. I love the situation Tyreek Hill finds himself in. I think the thing that you have to worry about with that is how many mouths there are to feed down there in Miami. So I definitely see his numbers going down from when he was in Kansas City, but he's still going to be a good pickup. Again, wide receiver 8. I actually think maybe he finishes outside of the top 10 just because of everybody else. CeeDee Lamb finishing wide receiver 7. That is more believable to me.
Yeah, on my list, Tyreek Hill's 21. Maybe I got to refresh the page. I don't really know. Maybe you got to, but when you think of Tyreek Hill, last year he was going round 1, maybe early round 2, and so now you have a little bit, late round 2, maybe falling to round 3 depending. But I mean, that's a good pickup. I mean, he's still elite. I mean, didn't drop off that much. The QB's maybe not as Patrick Mahomes-y, but still worth a pickup.
Yeah, I think so. What do we got next? We got Javonte Williams. Oh, that's interesting. Javonte Williams going RB12. Come in with Josh Allen at QB1. Mark Andrews, the second tight end off the board. Saquon Barkley at RB13 and Leonard Fournette at RB14. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I want to talk about everybody talking about weight issues with Leonard Fournette. Like, listen, the dude's big. He's still going to run you over. He's going to get into football shape. Let the man eat on the offseason. I don't care. I like him. Tom Brady trusts him. Tom Brady isn't even working out right now. He's like, I'm too good for this,
If he can cut and he can not fumble and he can barrel it downfield, I mean, let him be as big as he wants. I want a freight train running down the field.
Yeah, go ahead and pass on Leonard Fournette because he gained a few pounds and Tom Brady's his quarterback. Go ahead.
Yeah,
because I'm going to take him.
Ask the DBs that he runs over how they feel about his extra weight when the season happens. Yeah,
that he takes out of the game.
Exactly. Mark Andrews going tight end too. It's Kelsey and Andrews. Take your pick, which way you want to go there. Kelsey's production, I think people are counting on Kelsey catching more passes now that Tyreek Hill isn't there, which is why Kelsey, I think, passes up Andrews. But I think that's switch either way. Quarterback going in the second round. Most people don't like that, but if it's going to be somebody, it's definitely going to be Josh Allen, and you're going to see him go in round 1 plenty of times while you're drafting. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, Saquon Barkley going as RB13. Man, I tell you, I'm not sure I'm a friend of drafting Saquon Barkley right now.
You know, I want him to do really well. I said it last year. I want him to be really good. I'm thinking that the offensive coordinator came over from Buffalo, although there wasn't a huge run game in Buffalo. I think Saquon Barkley's run game and with the offensive coordinator mixed, I think everything's moving upwards. I'm excited for him. Again, pass on him so I can get him, so I could take, late rounder running backs, and I get either really excited or really upset around week 6 or 7.
Yeah, I guess the thing is that's how I feel about it. Like I feel like I'm willing to take a chance on Barkley, but I'm probably not willing to do it sooner than someone else. So I'm probably not going to end up with Barkley on my team because I'm just not willing to take him as early as some people are. Aurora says, "Do you think Josh Allen is going to be as good as last year?" Aurora, I happen to think he is going to be as good as last year, and there's a lot of people saying that he's not. Talk about regression and things like that. Is he going to finish QB1? I don't know. I mean, most of the time they don't, so maybe not. But is he still like the first quarterback I'm going to take off the board? Yeah, most likely.
Well, I think it was I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but hey, we're live. I think the assistant to the offensive coordinator or something has now moved in the offensive coordinator role. So I don't
Mhm.
think much is going to change in Buffalo. I still think, I mean, if Josh Allen is still Josh Allen, he's not going to, okay, you get somebody else in there. He's still going to run that offense. And so I don't see that much regression from him at all.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Aurora. David, I see your question. We're going to get to it in a second because that name you mentioned is going to come up. Give us just a sec, David. Moving into the next five, we got Mike Evans at wide receiver 9. I can see Mike Evans finishing in the top 10, absolutely, as long as he can stay healthy. Keenan Allen at wide receiver 10. I have something to say about that. Ezekiel Elliott, running back 15. AJ Brown, wide receiver 11, which a lot of people think he's going to do much better than that. And James Conner at RB 16. No. I tell you, here's my issue right now. You got Keenan Allen going wide receiver 10. You got him going ahead of Mike Williams, and Mike Williams had a beast of a year last year. And I understand Keenan Allen wasn't there for as much of it. I still like Williams to finish better than Allen, and I know a lot of people are putting Allen up front. Ezekiel Elliott finishes in the top 10 every single year, going RB 15. I think there's tremendous value there. I know he's a boom or bust per week, but I definitely think he's going to put points on your fantasy roster every season. I will defer AJ Brown to Rube. There it is.
I'm going to talk about some of those. I think Williams and Allen over there, in Southern California, I think you're good with either of them. When it comes to Zeke, listen, he's trending downward each year, and Pollard is moving up each year. So I would temper your expectations on Elliott. And A.J. Brown is now with his old college quarterback from Alabama. And that's one of the big names that we're talking about at the beginning of the show, where all these names are just moving around and we don't know what's going to happen. I guess everybody's hoping the Burrow Chase thing for all of these. I am, because I love points. I want everybody to get touchdowns, 40 to 42 every game. That's what I want. But it's not going to happen every time. I like A.J. Brown. He is going early, but if he falls to me at the right spot, I'll definitely take him.
Yeah, no, I will definitely snatch up some AJ Brown. I think Hurts is going to steal some of those touchdowns. I definitely think Devontae Smith will grab a couple as well, but I do think AJ Brown is going to be the top touchdown guy in Philly this year. Wide receiver 11, I'll give him a couple more spots. I'd say Brown finishes in the top 10. James Conner scares the crap out of me just because of the points. So not 1,000-yard rusher, but he had a ton of touchdowns combined. If you combine his rushing and his receiving touchdowns, and that put him towards the top of the list last year, and so you have to expect that to happen again. Kyler Murray just got his bag. Most times when people get paid, they don't play as hard anymore, but I think Kyler Murray's gotten a lot of flack because of that contract. So I think he's going to at least start the season with a chip on his shoulder. And so I think Arizona players are, I think Arizona players are going to be the players that you want to draft and then trade before week 6. That's my prediction on Arizona guys. And I just made a lot of people that I play with very, very happy. Thinking that they're going to get my Arizona players before week 6.
Here's the thing though. When it comes to week 6 for James Conner, the box is going to be stacked less. So I think he's going to be trending upwards after that. I don't have any issues. Yeah, Kyler Murray just got paid, so he's going to chill and he's going to run less. That means James Conner is going to run more. So I'm not afraid of James Conner. If I take wide receiver, whatever, and James Conner sitting there for my RB1, unfortunately, you got to get some running back for your team. Hey, you never know. I mean, he's playing indoors most of the time, so we'll take it.
Hey, James Conner, what do you guys think about James Conner? You're afraid of him again? RB 16, still going in the first 3 rounds, so it's not like his value is that low just because he's 30th overall. 31st overall right now is Patrick Mahomes. No way he lasts until the 3rd round. I don't think in most drafts, just drafting realistically, I think people pick him up. T. Higgins, David Montgomery going RB 17, Kyle Pitts, and Justin Herbert at 35. We'll round out the 3rd round with Cam Akers as well. How you doing with these to finishing up the 3rd round?
That's the thing. I hope I get, some of these early guys in the 3rd round because I really don't want to take a quarterback that early. And I know we discussed it the other day that I might do something like that, but at the same time, it's just this is the area where I'm gonna reach a little bit to somebody that I like that will probably go in the 4th round, but I know he won't come back to me just because there's too many question marks with Pitts, Akers, David Montgomery. I can't see myself taking someone right there.
Yeah, I'm not taking any. Look, I'll tell you right now, and if you draft with me, here's a little thing for you. If you're wondering what I'm going to do, I'm not taking any Bears. I'm not taking any Giants. Well, I might take Barkley if the value's there. And I'm not taking any Jets. I'm not taking any of those guys. So, if you play against me, there you go. But those teams, I think those are your bottom guys, your bottom teams this year. I think they'll be finishing at the bottom of the NFL, and I don't think you're going to get a lot of fantasy production out of them. That's my feel on that. Kyle Pitts lasting all the way to pick 34 is interesting to me, but he's still tight end 3, tight end number 3, and I put Kittle ahead of Pitts myself. I will take Kittle over Pitts every single time, but that's not how the ADP has gone so far. And Justin Herbert going as QB3, I think that's absolutely insane. If it wasn't for Josh Allen, I would think Herbert would go number 1. I absolutely am still taking Allen probably over Herbert, but I am definitely more than happy if I'm going to take a quarterback that soon. I actually think that Herbert's going to outperform Allen this year.
Ooh.
Fantasy points wise.
Really?
Allen will have more rush yards, but I think points wise, I think Herbert's got a real shot at being QB1 at the end of the season.
This is why I don't like doing the show, because you're right. I think Herbert could be number 1. I think, with division they're in, they're going to be throwing touchdowns left and right. Oh, man, you have a really good point. Herbert could be QB1. I might even put that on,
Yeah, you can use that one, everybody. You can take that one, or you can just keep it your own little secret. I'm going to jump to this one. David S. asks, you aren't keen on David Montgomery. Obviously, I think he's referring to me. No, I am not 100%. And I know what people are thinking. People are thinking Justin Fields not that great. That means he's going to have to feed the back, blah, blah, blah. I think that's absolutely 100% the game plan for every single team that Chicago plays this year. Load the box and make Fields beat him with his arm, because I don't think he can, and I don't think he will. I think they want Fields to throw, and so all all teams are going to do until Fields proves them otherwise. And I love Mooney. I'm a huge Darrell Mooney fan, but I think they're going to double team Mooney and make the run near impossible, and that's about all you're going to have to do to beat the Bears this year. So no, I am not keen on David Montgomery. How are you feeling about him, Ruben?
I actually couldn't have said it better myself. Exactly that. It's too many question marks, and Justin Fields didn't come far enough along last year. Maybe he makes a huge breakout, but I like to see a little bit more than that. So yeah, no, same exact answer.
Yeah. So without going back and kind of talking about who you would replace them with, here's some names outside of the top 3 rounds. And I want to know if you think that they should be or will be in the top 3 rounds. Someone like Michael Pittman Jr. A lot of people high on Michael Pittman. I think they should be. With Matt Ryan, should he and will he? Let's make it a versus. Should he versus will he go in the first 3 rounds?
Let's see. I'll be taking him in the 3rd round if he's still there.
Yeah, I definitely see him going inside the 3rd round. Remember, these are ADP averages. I got Pittman as wide receiver 13. I'm okay with that, again, without going through the list. But they've also got T. Higgins ahead of Michael Pittman Jr. I'm not sure about that just because there's a lot of fantastic pass catchers in Cincinnati, and so, I see those numbers getting spread out. Pittman Jr., I think, is going to get a lot more of the lion's share between him and Taylor. George Kittle, like we talked about, George Kittle outside of the 3rd round, I definitely don't think that is a believable stat there, but what do you think?
I think he could last until the 4th, just because sometimes people lay off the tight ends. Because, there's that question mark with Waller. I mean, where is he going to be? There's a Dallas fan in your league. There's a Raiders fan there. And they just tend to grab those guys up. I took Waller early, late 2nd round last year, and it did not pay off. So
it did not pay off.
Did not pay off. So I'm going to be laying off the tight ends this year. I was like, no, I'll take someone that's going to get me 8 points, in the 14th round or something. And I'll just play the tight end game all season long, because I'm not going to get burned 2 years in a row for the same position. So,
yeah, I don't think anybody's going to do that with Waller this year. I think there's a lot of caution being used with him. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about we kind of advertised we're going to be talking about some sleepers. We're talking about some deep sleepers. We're talking about some kind of sleepers. When I look at the ADP lists and how mock season has kind of played out, I see some people that were slept on, and because it's been mock draft season, now people are starting to wake up on them. Josh Jacobs being one of them. Josh Jacobs, I think, is going to get a lot of work this year. I think he's going to put up a lot of numbers. Right now, going RB20, I definitely think Josh Jacobs finishes above RB20.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Isn't there like a new guy there in Vegas? I mean, I can't name all the backups, and all the rookies, but
I still think it's Jacobs' job to lose. Now, a lot of people saying that the Raiders might be trying to shop him. The Raiders absolutely deny that they're trying to shop him. I look, out of 32 teams, I like Josh Jacobs ahead of RB20. I'll tell you who else is way outside.
Yeah.
Is Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell going RB23, and I think Elijah Mitchell definitely finishes ahead of RB23.
I don't.
There you go, and that's why people watch this show.
No, I think Elijah Mitchell isn't going to be the top running back in San Francisco this year.
Wow. Yeah. Going big. Write that one down, folks.
And you'll hear about it later, but we're not going to discuss. We're not going to get into that right now.
Elijah Mitchell will not be the top back in San Francisco, according to Roop. There it is, at Mr. Football Today on Twitter. Let him know what you think about that prediction. Mike Williams, all the way back at wide receiver 19, kind of talked about how I feel about that. I think Mike Williams is going to be a tremendous value if he goes that late. Amari Cooper, wide receiver 22. now in Cleveland. I guess you could say on the back half of his career. I think he's still got plenty of years to play, although he's in Cleveland. So I think he just lost a few years. But what do you think about Amari Cooper, not just in Cleveland, but also wide receiver 22? Too high, too low? Or right where he's supposed to be?
Maybe right where he's supposed to be. I mean, he's going to be having two quarterbacks throw to him for sure at minimum this year, or as it looks right now. I mean, he was good last year. He'll be good this year. I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's terrible. I just think it's going to be in the middle of the pack. They're a run first team, and they got two solid running backs and a quarterback that can run. So I'm not sure. I'm not taking
I
him.
hear you. No, I'm probably not going to take him. I'm not going to take him, but I'll tell you who I will take. Amari Cooper, 58th overall. Cortland Sutton, 59th overall. Wide receiver, 23. I'll tell you what, I'll take Sutton over Cooper every single draft. Receivers ahead of Sutton. Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, of course, Mike Williams, and DK Metcalf. DJ Moore, that's the one I was talking about. DJ Moore, also ahead of Sutton. I'll tell you what, I'll take Sutton ahead of Cooper. I'll take Sutton ahead of Cooks. I'll take Sutton ahead of DJ Moore for sure. I'll take him ahead of Metcalf right now because of the quarterback situation. So I think out of all those people, the only one I'm taking beforehand, maybe Chris Godwin. I think if I was looking at Godwin or Sutton, I think I might lean Godwin just because of Brady. But I'm really surprised to see Sutton going after all those other guys.
With Godwin, we need him to be 100% before anything. And I know Russell Gage is over there too, and I think he got a little something going on. So I'm going to probably try to stay away from that. And this is the area where I'd probably end up reaching a little bit and taking Sutton in front of all these people. And I mean, I like him. We have no idea what he's going to do. There's no track record, with Wilson and him. So I think.
And Jerry Jeudy's there as well. I mean, Jerry Jeudy's going to definitely take targets as well. He's a fantastic receiver also.
Russ is going to cook this season. He better.
Let's talk about. Well, let's take a break for a second from the ADP. Let's everybody catch their breath on the ADP. And let's talk about something that's coming up that's pretty exciting this fall, and that is the Trenches. The Trenches is the first fantasy football reality competition show. There's going to be 12 teams, one winner of $5,000. I know you can still get in if you go to the www.thearmchairathletics.com. It's right there on my name. You can actually submit yourself to be a contestant on the show. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I play fantasy football. I get on camera for a little bit, and then I win $5,000. But we're gonna mess with you a little bit. But hey, it's
it's not a walk in the park.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you bring that up like it's not like it's a fantasy football competition. So it's not a league. It's not just draft, set your roster, play the waiver wire, and hope you win the $5,000. I mean, there's going to be a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, you're going to have to work for this probably a little bit more. The other leagues, you can go set your leagues first thing, Sunday morning. This one, you're going to have to be really doing your homework, and there's going to be some twists and turns that are going to make it a lot of fun. But a lot of fun plus cash and no buy-in. I mean, it's competition.
No buy-in. No buy-in for $5,000. All I got to do is be good enough to beat everybody else. Yeah, I can do that. Can you do that?
To do it? I mean,
yeah. Can you do it? I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shoot us an email. Go to www.thearmchairathletics.com. Click on the Trenches and put yourself in the run-in for that $5,000 today. The Trenches, love it. So let's get into these. Let's get a little deeper into the sleepers, right? So I don't want to take all of them. I'm going to start with one that I don't think is as deep a sleeper. I think what happens is he's so far down the list that he gets missed. And so people are picking up tremendous value out of Allen Robinson now playing for the Rams. I don't care if Kupp is there. I think Kupp is still going to finish with super high numbers, and I think Allen Robinson is still going to finish in double digits somehow.
That's like the OBJ area. He was
OBJ now or Allen Robinson now?
Yeah, well, okay. Like Allen Robinson is taking over the OBJ role, if you will. He's not going to be double teamed. He has a better quarterback. Allen Robinson was not, he went way too high last year and it cost a lot of people. Not going to point any fingers, but so I like where he's at, and he's going to be at that safe spot. He's still a good wide receiver. He just now has a better quarterback. When some quarterback went over to the Rams, he was on a terrible team most of his career and wins a Super Bowl year one. So just saying, Robinson can finally have his moment where he's been out for a couple of years, and this is his moment. So I like him there. People are just going to pass him up, forget the name. That's fine.
Wide receiver 28, way too low. Give me one of your sleepers.
Oh, well, I have some in the later rounds. After round 7? You want to hear some of those?
Yeah, let's get deep.
Let's get deep. Okay, here's the thing. He's number 88, Ken Walker the third. Now,
wow,
he could be your starter, and you're picking up your starting running back in 7th, 8th round, whatever. I know Rashad Penny's there, but there's kind of some news out of camp that maybe Walker's going to take over this backfield. I know we got
Penny's already got a groin injury.
Yeah, and injuries, and everybody's nursing stuff. They're getting hit by bigger players now. But he did have over 1,700 yards and 19 touchdowns last year, so he can handle the rock, the football, whatever you want to call it.
The biscuit.
Just got to temper those expectations. If you went wide receiver early and you need running backs, this is the guy you're looking for in those later rounds.
Sure. I think you're spot on with that. I mean, that's tremendous value. RB35. I think that's ridiculous for someone who probably, definitely has a good shot at getting the starting job, at least a timeshare, which Seattle has been notorious for doing anyway. So I think later on, Ken Walker could definitely do something. That's a good one. Just a little Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk was supposed to be the super kid last year, got hurt. Deebo Samuel kind of took over, but now they've reassigned the roles, and I think that Brandon Ayuk is going to be a tremendous value at wide receiver, 39, 95 overall in PPR.
So you're not worried about Deebo, and you're not worried about the quarterback situation.
Look, I'm not a Trey Lance fan, but everybody else seems to be. So, if I give the Trey Lance fans the benefit of the doubt, I think Ayuk comes out great. I mean, look, I'm not putting him in the top 10 or anything like that, but we're talking about deep sleepers here. But I'm not afraid to put Ayuk on my team at all.
You know what? I think if everything works out right, Trey Lance could win somebody a league this year.
Wow. It could happen. I mean, honestly, look, enough people are saying it. I'm kind of starting to believe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the coach is saying it, like, hey, this is going to be the guy. I'm like, really? Okay, so saying is that late round QB that you can get, and he could have early QB value. I'm just saying, he's got all the tools there. He's got the running backs, got the wide receiver core, has the tight end, he has the speed, he has the arm. It's all there. It's all there.
Hey, like I said, you're making me believe a little bit more every time I hear it. Every time I hear it, I believe it a little bit more. Look, Zach Ertz going tight end number 9. I think that's ludicrous. Zach Ertz is the top 5 tight end, top 6. That was your next one too? Yeah, I mean, that's just silly. When you're looking for that tight end value, because you missed out on Kelsey, and you missed out on Andrews, and you missed out on Kittle and Pitts. Just hang on a little bit and hang on a few more rounds and just grab Ertz and laugh yourself all the way to tight end greatness. Because Zach Ertz at tight end 9 is just silly. A lot of people, let me ask you on this one. A lot of talk right now, and it just keeps rolling downhill and getting bigger and stronger about Drake London and Atlanta. You got Marcus Mariota out there throwing the ball now. He looks good. I watched some of the training camp. He's confident. The team seems to like him. The coach is liking him. The people that were watching were really surprised by him. Drake London in Atlanta. What do you think?
I think Drake London's a great player. It's kind of like the Kyle Pitts situation. I think we need to temper those expectations just a little bit. Like I just can't pull myself to take a rookie, and I know I should have pulled the trigger for Chase, but there's way too many question marks. This is where you do those question mark picks, and shoot for the stars. But I wasn't really too impressed with Atlanta's offense last year, and with the new quarterback coming in. I'm going to stay. I'm not drafting Drake London. Like he's not on my radar. I hope he goes off. I hope he's amazing. He's a big wide receiver. Mariota's got big targets to throw at. Mariota should be doing really well. So, could it happen? Yes, but right now I'm not going to put all my money in one pot right there on that. I can't.
Let me ask you this. Look, everybody talking about Davante Adams. Everybody really liking Renfrow right now. I'm liking Renfrow myself. I think he's a great hands guy. I'm not saying he's going to be a fantasy points monster, but as a player, I really like Renfrow. So why is Derek Carr going QB 14?
When you talk about Renfrow, I think he's, the third pass catcher on that team. But really? Derek Carr is going there. Derek Carr is number 106 on ADP, and he's on my list because I trash talked all last season because he got all this overtime, and this is why his numbers look so good.
I brought it up before.
And after the overtime stop, it was just right where he should be. But I'm going to show some love this year because he has his pass catcher, he has his tight end, he has the running back. Davante Adams is going to be a top 10 wide receiver, which elevates Derek Carr.
But isn't it supposed to be the other way around? How is Derek Carr like? If Davante, well, I guess I see what you're saying. You are saying it the right way in the fact that if you believe Davante Adams is going to be a top 10 wide receiver, then you have to believe Derek Carr is going to perform well, and that's kind of my question with how can he be ranked so far back at QB 14? Most 12-team leagues, that means he's not getting drafted. That's what we're saying. We're saying at QB 14, Derek Carr doesn't even get drafted, and yet he's got a top 10 wide receiver.
That's the thing. He has Darren Waller, Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow, his wide receiver core. His wide receiver core just doubled it.
We're saying Jacobs is not going to be. You said Jacobs is not going to be the guy. So we're a little iffy, or at least spreading the ball around at running back. QB 14 makes no sense to me.
They can't stack the box, and when they do, they're going to get in trouble. So everybody's kind of like single coverage type over there. That's why I think everybody's not. They're not going to be elite, the best, but I think they're going to be a lot of value with where they're falling to.
Yeah. Look, let's do a little yay or nay as we wind down the show here. Alan Lazard, Alan Lazard out there with Aaron Rodgers. He's probably, is someone else going to be the guy in Green Bay? I don't know. Alan Lazard, yay or nay?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's 169 targets that Davante Adams had last year. They got to go somewhere. Sure, they're going to go over there to the running backs. I got it. Not 169 of them not going to running backs. So it's got to go to the wide receiver or a couple of wide receivers. Not all going to Randall Cobb. They're not going to Watkins or whoever else is over there, or Christian Watson or whatever. Lazard? Yeah. He's my late rounder. I hate that you brought him up because now when we draft, we're both looking at that late round. I'm like, nah, I got to take him.
I don't think he's going to go that late. That's my thing. Traylon Burks out of Tennessee. Everybody wants him to do good. He's got asthma. He's got emotional issues. I don't know. Traylon Burks, what do you think? Yay or nay? coming off a torn ACL.
No, I'm staying away. Not a chance.
I kind of like Traylon Burks, a late round flyer, probably right before I take my defense and my kicker. Travis Etienne, what are we thinking about him? James Robinson may be coming back. Etienne didn't play for a whole year, but he is back with his boy Trevor Lawrence. Again, another one. People really want this guy to do good. What do you think?
I really want him to do good as well. I want him to do great. I hear good things out of camp. I want to see him be fully successful. I'm all for it. He's going to, he's kind of waiting in the back there a little bit and later round. He's not going to be those early round running backs, but if you take wide receiver early, I'm taking Etienne. No.
Yeah, I see. I mean, Etienne, he's ADP is RB21. I definitely have seen him go much earlier than that. I mean, the whole running back premium, like David S. talked about, once all the running backs start flying off the board, people start getting a little crazy. So I 46 pick overall, that's fourth round. I definitely see him going in the fourth round.
And David S. asked, I'm willing to risk more on Barkley than I am with Tyreek Hill. He just doesn't trust Tua. I'm saying, I probably, I don't know if I would take Barkley over Tyreek, but they're right in the same ballpark.
Yeah, I'm kind of a Tua believer personally. I'm kind of believing all the hype. I think with that many weapons, I think he's going to put some good, right? QB 15, maybe QB 12 area, something like that. I'm not saying he's actually going to break the top 10, but two quarterbacks, super flex league, something like that. Yeah, I'd be all right if Tua was my second guy, depending on who my first guy was.
If Miami had a terrible, terrible defense, I'd be all in on Tua because he's going to have to throw that ball all over the place. But they're a pretty good defense, so they're not going to be playing from behind every game. So, that's what I think, 12, 15, somewhere in there. I'm okay with that.
Last one to wrap it up, and it's going to be a duo because they play for the same team. Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, yay or nay? What do you think?
I was staying away from Dobbins last year. I'm going to stay away from him this year.
J.K. all day.
Oh, man. I know. He's just so good. Just let me guess. It must be an Ohio State thing.
Must be.
Lamar Jackson, because he's not QB1 going off the list and, in your draft. So, you're going to have to take him early. You're going to have to spend a pick early for a quarterback. But then you can just focus on the rest of your position players after that. But, I don't know if he's going to fall to me in a good spot anyway. Someone else will take him, and I get it. But
hey, both those guys coming off injury. I'm not a fan of guys coming off major injuries, even though I'm saying Derrick Henry's going to be all right. I got to see what J.K. and Lamar are going to do. And Lamar's
break.
I know, right? Lamar is always going to take away from your running back, no matter who it is. So I don't know. Maybe if you had both of them, I'd be okay with that, but I probably will avoid them both. So you see me coming around the draft, you're worried about me just stealing Lamar Jackson from you. Don't worry. Probably not going to take him. Hey, look, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining the show. Thanks for coming back to Yards After the Catch. We're going to be here every Tuesday now. You're stuck with us. We want you to come back, though. Check us out. Check out the trenches at www.thearmchairathletics.com. Right down there, right there. Yep, there it is. Go find Mr. Roop. There it is, at Mr. Football Today. And, if you got questions, we'll grade your draft. If you want to know how you did, whatever it is. Hey, we got Fourth and Flex Fantasy Football Podcast joining us late. I'll bet that's good old Bandy coming in there. If you have not checked out the Fourth and Flex Fantasy Football Podcast, please go do that. They're one of the top up and coming podcasts this year. I love shows this year. I love it. They put out great information. They got a great show over there. Plus, you can get 20% off using code Superflex20, Superflex20, 20% off at manscaped.com. Go check those guys out. Josh says, it's me. Look, there you go. I'm going to leave it right up there so you guys can find Fourth and Flex Fantasy Football Podcast. Go find Yards After the Catch. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Go find Armchair Athletics. We're also on Facebook and YouTube and the Twitter machine out there. We loved having you guys come out. Hit us up anytime, and we can talk about you on the next show, or just come on live. We put the code up there so you guys can hop right in and be on the show with us. For Roop, there it is. Roop, you got something to say before we go? I know you got something. I know you do.
Know, here's the thing. If Fourth and Flex does it, we do it. All the other ones, they're like, oh, we won't grade your drafts, your mock drafts, blah blah. We'll do it. We're okay with it. We'll show
Absolutely.
you. It's just a grade. Don't take it too hard. Take it with a grain of salt. And even when football season comes back around, it might even be helping you set some lineups on those Sundays. So be prepared for that. It might just sign on for a little bit while I'm setting my lineup. You could ask us a question or me a question to say, hey, I don't know who to put in, and I'm going to give you just my thoughts on it. So just be prepared. Every Sunday, gotta be ready. But Tuesdays, man, us trenches, it's going to be lit this season. Lit. Be ready for it.
We're going off. You get the best game day advice. We'll answer all your questions right here live on the show. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks for joining us on Yards After the Catch. Be safe out there, everybody.